I'll share with you a story on mail security.
Hey, Michael, I understand you're looking into a story about Microsoft's Outlook service for mail?
Yes, it's actually Outlook, but even some of the other Microsoft mail platforms, they also still have, Hotmail running and MSN users.
Right.
So it's multiple users where Microsoft hosts their email platform. And they did notify, kind of proactively wanted to let everybody know, hey, if you were one of the accounts where we think your information could have been viewed, they let the selected group know that. They emailed them. Okay.
Oh, so there was some sort of breach or compromise of user account data?
Right.
What happened?
It did. It happened this year, January to March.
Okay.
And they explained it and gave quite a bit of detail to these users. And it led back to one of their people in a support role being compromised. So whatever role they had as an administrator and support person helping out users, the attacker unfortunately had that same access. Initially, I think the kind of description was, well, the support person could see like subject lines and folders and maybe look at who you send to. But then there was a subset, I think it was only 6% of what the support person could see were flagged as users that they could actually look at their messages for. Those are webmail customers who were consumer as opposed to like a business customer.
Right.
So those users actually got another notification telling you that they were in the 6% and that their messages could have been viewed.
In this case, Microsoft noticed that kind of behavior and proactively reaching out to those people who they felt affected to reset the credentials.
So I think there was a lot of media attention around this since those notices came out. People publishing, to a site. This is the letter I got, and then a lot of discussion around it. But email security needs constant attention, and the attackers are always trying new stuff. And going after people in support roles is definitely something that's happening all over the world. So your support people need to be ready and not fall for tricks that would let somebody in. And then you could consider, maybe locking down those support roles to smaller groups so they're not looking at all your customers. And then view only as opposed to letting them, write or log in remotely. It's a whole lot of things to think about as you're laying out roles and limiting what a user role is able to do.
So to me, your mail account is probably the thing you want to keep the most secure. Because with it, if I'm a bad guy and I get access to your email, I can reset your account on like any number of different websites that you might visit.
Yeah.
And the forgot password thing usually comes back to your email address. Right. And if I get in there, I'll just say, yeah, that's great, and reset it to whatever I want. And then I can get into all these different things like Facebook and whatever, just having access to your email account. So it really does unlock a lot of access to a potential target. And all the other websites or other places they might go where they could use the forgot password to reset the account. So,
also the digital footprint might give some leverage to the malware authors, specifically targeting like APT groups to observe what kind of email the specific subject or person is getting. That may give us a little more information how to target one or two persons. I think that threat is always there when some sort of credentials are lost, right?
Yeah, it's a perfect set of information to use to make a targeted message. And it might not be against you, it might be against anyone you have ever sent a message to about a topic that you talk to each other about.
Right, especially if it's a high profile target and they want to use you to laterally pivot to other ones and things like that, right? Because they would know who you normally, we've seen that with nation state actors too with email where they will use a lot of intelligence gathering to figure out who knows who and try to forge emails or even compromise one user to send an email to another so that that person's more likely to open an attachment or do something because it's a trusted person. Like if I got an email from you, I'd be like, hey, it's from Ganesh, I'll open it. And they try to use that same sort of trust relationship between people in order to laterally take over more accounts and things like that. So.
A lot of times we're asked, well, what do you recommend? Like, how could you prevent this or stop it? And I think both when it comes to support roles And when it comes to logging onto webmail, multi-factor should be considered for both of those.
If you're an administrator where you have elevated access to a lot of different accounts, having a multi-factor authentication would help prevent somebody from being able to use those credentials in a way that would get them access to a lot of different accounts.